It's true.
Once you're married, now it's F this, F that, F that, and you're like,
easy come, easy go.
hey guys, I'm Dukes.
And I'm Tima.
And we are the DUMA Family.
Welcome back to the journey, guys.
If you're new to our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell so you're notified whenever we post. And make sure that you like this video. Everybody else, welcome back.
So today's video is going to be topics that you need to discuss before getting married to your significant other. We think this topic is really, really, really important. So we're just going to dive right in and talk about some of the topics that we think are really, really important that you should talk about.
So guys, the first topic that is very, very imperative that you guys need to talk about before you get married is money. Money, 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 money. I know it is a tricky subject sometimes or a touchy subject, but it's very important to discuss. It's important for you to know where you are financially, where your spouse or your future spouse is financially, your financial health, right? It is also important to know what kind of debt he or she might have. So, for example, when we were getting married, Tima had a little bit of debt because of school. So it was important that she disclose that to me, because how unfair would it be to me that if 6 months in, she's like, hey, by the way, I need $3,000 because I need to pay this school's, semester's bills or whatever. I've been like, 3 G's. Well, I hope you got 3 G's. You don't just spring it on people.
Well, some people actually go into marriage with more debt. So it's like, yeah, you have to disclose that stuff because you don't want to drop that ball on your significant other's head. Be like, I'm $100,000 in debt. We're married now, but now my debt is your debt. That's just going to cause so much strife in your relationship. So you need to air out your dirty laundry from the beginning.
If she would have said I got $100,000 debt to me, I would have said, well, what's the return policy on marriage certificates? Whatever it is your situation is, make sure that you disclose that to your significant other, they know what they are getting into. That is extremely, extremely important. Not
only that, you want to know what your significant other's spending habits are. Are they a spender or are they a saver? Like if they were to come into a large sum of money, what would they do with that money? Like, would they blow it on name brand bags, go on a trip, or would they be smart with it and invest it or save it? That actually tells a lot about a person's character and how responsible they are. So, you can kind of like trick them or ask them in a way, like, what would you do? Them. Yeah, they'll be like, hey,
That's not tricking them. You just have to be straight up with them.
You can be straight up with them if you're blunt. But if you're, a little nervous about asking, you can always say a hypothetical situation. But I feel like that's important. It's an important way to get to know somebody financially, how responsible they are.
The last thing about money I think is very important, especially in our culture, is kind of wedding do you want? Yeah. A lot of folks are spending a lot of money on these weddings nowadays, and it really depends on what kind of person you are, if that's okay. If you're okay marrying someone who wants this huge, glamorous wedding, or do you want to marry someone who wants a small wedding and put that money towards something else? Make sure that you guys are both on the same page, because we see it time and time again where this person wants to marry someone and this person is like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. And when it comes down to the wedding, there's a lot of issues between the two families and the two parties involved. Yeah. And I'm like, didn't you guys discuss this prior?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a big wedding. There's nothing wrong with a small wedding. As long as you guys are on the same page, that's fine. Just make sure you discuss it. The second topic we're going to talk about is family. What kind of relationship does your significant other have with their family? Like, a big one is, after you get married, do you want to live with your parents? Or do you guys decide, do you want to move out? I think these are important things to discuss before you go ahead and tie the knot, because again, you don't want to come into a surprise, be like, oh, I thought we'd stay with my parents for a couple years and then move out. But you're like, oh no, I want to
bounce right now.
Exactly. I want to get my own house and start my life. So, you know, things like that are really important to discuss.
Also, one thing is how you guys deal with problems within your family.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong, or you want to work it out with your in-laws if there's an issue, or you're going to address that issue.
Yeah.
It's very important that you know how to deal with each other's family in a respectful way.
Yeah.
So it's important to discuss it, to know, hey, if this was to happen, X, or, you know, hypothetical example, maybe like in our culture, a lot of mother-in-laws expect the daughter-in-law to cook, clean, do everything under the sun,
yeah.
and sometimes still work a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to discuss what kind of mother are you going to be dealing with. So Tima would have asked me like, okay, so what does your mom expect of me
yeah.
as a daughter-in-law? You know, and if there was an issue to arise, how would you handle that? So if my mom was very demanding on Tima, how would I, as the son, talk to my mom to say, hey, mom, you got to chill out? You know, it's important for you guys to discuss how you will handle family issues. They're inevitable to happen. They're going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. So it's important that you guys discuss it as husband and wife-to-be, how you guys are going to handle those issues when they come up.
So the third topic we're going to talk about is faith. It's really important that you discuss faith with your significant other before you get married. You just want to kind of get into their head to see where they are in their faith. And a couple things you want to ask are, you want to shed some light?
Yeah, absolutely. Things like, well, depending on whatever faith you practice, in Islam, for instance, we pray 5 times a day. So it was important for me to ask Tima, hey, are you praying? Are you actively praying? Are you praying once a day, twice a day, 3 times, or 5 times ideally? So you can know where they're at, where their strengths or their weaknesses are at this moment, so you can build upon those, or if that is something that they're interested in doing, because you don't want to marry someone who you thought was going to pray and then ended up not praying because you didn't ask that question. So you have to ask the tough questions. You know, if you, for instance, if you practice Christianity, ask your significant other, hey, do you go to church regularly? That might be something very important to know, because once you're in it, you're in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So do you wear the hijab? Is it something that you want to wear? For me, that was very important. So it's very important to discuss faith before you guys get married.
Yeah, I mean, whether you practice a lot or you practice a little, it's good to know where their head is at, and also if they're willing to improve in their religion or in their faith. So, you know, just ask those questions and just make sure you discuss those before you go into a marriage.
Last topic we're going to talk about are deal breakers.
Oh yeah,
deal breakers. Woo! What's a deal breaker?
I know there are some things in a marriage that are a deal breaker. And once you get into that marriage, you find out afterwards, no good.
We hear a lot of stories, a lot of times where things happen after the fact, and I'm like, man, why didn't they discuss this?
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to talk about this and make this video for you guys. For all those who are considering getting married, you have to ask the tough questions.
Oh yeah, and don't be afraid, because one thing that's a sign, like, you shouldn't be afraid to ask that person a specific question. If you're nervous to ask, it's okay, but you have to ask questions that are deal breakers. And some of those questions are...
For me, when I was getting married to Tima, I remember asking her, I said, hey, do you smoke, or do you intend on smoking? Because that's a deal breaker for me, right? I've never smoked a day in my life and never will. And I don't want that in my household, or that to be the example for our future kids. Yeah. So that would have been a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Drinking is another deal breaker for me. Even profanity is a deal breaker for me. I want someone who's not always F-bomb this, F-bomb that, you know, have good morals and characters and things of that nature. So what are your deal breakers?
Right. That's just unattractive to me anyways, so I wouldn't do it. So.
Well, you know, it's important to ask, you know, because you don't know, right? Because remember, guys, whenever you guys are talking, you're on your best behavior.
That's true.
Once you're married, now it's F this, F that, and you're like,
yeah, well, the truth is, once you get married, you get comfortable with each other. So then you start becoming the person who you truly are. And it's just important to disclose those things before you get married, and to show them your true side before you get married. because, you know, you don't want to get into that and be like, ugh, who did I marry?
I think a big deal breaker for a lot of women,
Yeah.
and you have to make sure you guys ask this and correct me if I'm wrong, is polygamy. Because
Oh,
see,
yeah.
in Islam, for instance, it's okay to have multiple wives.
Yeah.
Of course, under certain guidelines. Make sure that you ask your husband-to-be, does he plan on having more than one wife?
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of times I hear the stories where I got married to this guy and a year later he wanted to bring another woman into the situation and she's like, what the...
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you discuss that prior to getting married?
Yeah.
So it's a tough question, but make sure you ask.
For me, that was a deal breaker, but we discussed it beforehand. And, you know, he was like, no, I don't intend to marry any other woman, whatever. And that's his decision. I respected that decision. But I did ask that question before getting married because I didn't want that to be sprung on me in the middle of our marriage. And then I'm just, you know, unhappy. So, you know, you gotta ask that question.
Think of your deal breakers and make sure you guys ask those tough questions. So
Oh, yeah.
we hope you enjoyed this video, guys. And if you guys want to see more videos like this or for us to elaborate more, maybe do a part 2, let us know in the comments below. And let us know if you guys have any experiences on any of these questions. Have you guys asked the tough questions prior to getting married?
Yeah,
definitely let us know.
Yeah, what are some of the questions you asked your significant other before marrying them? We are curious to know, so definitely comment below.
Welcome to the family. For those who are new, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that bell so you're notified whenever we post. And until next time, I'm Dukes.
And I'm Tima.
Take care.